No, 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 guy. It's supposed to say the bloated Brahmin, not Colonial Tap House. There's already a bar called Colonial Tap House in the Commonwealth, and we can't afford the loyalties, okay? We don't want to go on iguana bits level scandal here. I gotta go. I'm rolling. Yeah, I gotta do the thing. I'll talk to you later. Ugh. Guys, if you take my advice on anything, never let a talking Deathclaw decide the name of your bar. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to do something I rarely will ever do on this show. What am I saying? I do it all the time. I'd like to give a shout out to the people who are out there who actually tip the people who serve them food. That's right, people. After 4 years of working at my local sandwich restaurant, I was actually tipped more in less than 2 hours than I had in the last 4 years. And I was only working drive-thru. That's not counting the tips the drivers and the in-shoppers got, of which there was only, I believe, one other person. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just glad to be able to have the privilege and the honor of knowing such decent folk, especially that one lady that tipped me $5. That made my day, and I ordered a sandwich and ate it. I had lunch because of you. You are my hero. That being said, let's get on to some depressing news. I read, and don't take this as canon or anything, because I can't rely on the source it's coming from, that apparently
Yes?
students are going to have to retake the entire school year. Now, this is only going to affect public school students because they ain't going to get private school students to do that. They're not going to get college students to do that either, especially when it's this late in the school year and most people will be zoned out by now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's completely unfair and unreasonable to restart the entire school year over about 3 months of missing school. And that's a maybe 3 months. Definitely 1.5 to 2 months, but a maybe 3 months. That's a strong maybe this is going to last 3 months, which is basically takes up the rest of the semester for spring. These kids, they're still doing the work. They're still putting their time in, for the most part. They're still sacrificing a lot of energy and exasperating everything. And your reward to them for dealing with these harsh conditions, and your reward to the teachers who are also suffering from this, you school board officials in Denver, is to restart the entire school year. Make them take the same classes over again. Oh, this person's practicing self-isolation. Let's ruin it. Yeah, your door is not existent, so that doesn't count as self-isolation, because you left the door open. And, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that is completely unfair and unreasonable to both teachers and students during this crisis. And if you're trying to say, well, it's so they can experience things that they would normally have experienced during regular school year, they're already experienced most of the things that are gonna happen this school year. Already experienced it. As far as I know, prom for most high schools here in Colorado has already happened. Spring fling has already happened. The only thing that's going to happen is these kids are going to stare at the ceiling for the rest of the semester until summer vacation starts. And then they're going to spend their times wondering how many kills they can get on Call of Duty or Battlefield. That's what's going to happen, because that's what I did as a kid in school. They're going to look at the walls, count the cracks in the tile, and then wonder why the bell hasn't rung yet. And if you don't think that your precious Billy Bob or Josie Bob or whatever the heck your kid's name is going to do that, you just wait. All kids do that. There is no exception. I met honor roll students who were worse than at that than I was. You're dead. He probably has a piece of, yeah, he has a piece of useless armor. I guess that other guy cut and run. Cowards! Anyway, it's unfair. These kids are putting in the work. They're still doing the best they can given the resources they have, just like the teachers are. That's not counting how unfair and unreasonable this is to the educators. You know, the people who are actually in the classroom teaching kids. Not the people who are sitting in a nice office as separated as they can from the rest of the kids, who don't really know what these educators or students are going through. Who don't really have the idea on how to set up a lesson plan, let alone an entire semester worth of educational material.
There you are.
I understand that some of these people were, in fact, teachers at one point, and of course, they were students at one point. But that time is long since gone, and they are as out of touch with their fellow teachers or the students they're supposedly administrating as humanly possible. They're bureaucrats that literally do only one thing. They sit in an office, talk about how they can spend government funds on this ridiculous thing, and until the test results come in and they're not so good, they'll completely ignore their public schools. They'll completely ignore it. I'm sure that there are some members of the Bureau of Education here in Colorado that haven't even heard of the coronavirus until they were told by the governor that we're shutting down these schools. And they probably put up a big fight about it too, because they make money off these schools. They make not a lot of money, but they do make a fair bit of money. And they're using the schools and they're using the students to have an excuse to have these students do their entire school year. They're not talking about the last few months of the semester. The entire school year over again. That is completely unreasonable. That is entirely unfair to the work and the effort already put in by these young students and teachers. And they sit there and they expect their will to be done. I bet you they're making very little in the terms of sacrifice when it comes down to the MIDI. Well, it looks like I missed all the fun. Well, the Institute is taking the Brotherhood of Steel very seriously. Wonder why there are no railroad people here. Oh, that's right, because they're too busy hiding in their little basement. That's right, shots fired, come get me. Anyway, I just hope that they don't go along with this because it is, and I know I can't stress this enough, it is completely unreasonable and unfair to these students who have put in the time, who have put in the energy, have put in the effort to get this stuff done. Now, for those students who are deliberately ignoring the remote learning and are blowing school off because they've always done that, yeah, by all means, make them retake the entire grade again. By all means. Because if they're not doing the work required, then they should retake the year. But don't do that to the students who are actually taking advantage of this remote learning and are still attending the online classes, are still doing the
Feral
work,
ghouls like to
and
hide in the dark.
deserve
Makes
the
night patrol
recognition
real
for
fun.
that work by moving on to the next level of education, and in some cases, the next level of higher education. I'm a college student. My graduation, this is my last semester at my certain college. I am going to graduate this semester, although the ceremony has been canceled. Does that mean I'm going, because of Corona, that I'm going to willingly participate in another semester? If I could, I still wouldn't. Because to me, that chapter of my life is already closing. And there are already alternatives for me to finish my job.
Tango down. On your way, soldier.
On your way as well, brother. And quite honestly, I'm already halfway finished with the semester anyway. There's no point in me continuing on with it. On another related news, I come from a family of military veterans. I come from a family, and I also have some active service members still in my family. My grandpa was in the Air Force during the Vietnam War. My other grandpa was in the Navy. I don't know if it was during the Vietnam War, Korea? Anyway, I didn't really learn that much about it. And, oh, the crashed alien ship. Whoop-de-doo. My dad served in the Navy during the Gulf War. My brother-in-law's brother is a Marine, currently serving overseas, I do believe. And when I hear people saying that they want to close down the military due to coronavirus, I really have to laugh a little bit. Because, one, it's the military. They're never going to close it down. For two, it'd be completely idiotic for us to close down the military during a time of international crisis like what we see now. They're taking this because they're taking the stance that we should shut down the entire military, mainly because, this is what they're saying, an aircraft carrier with 1/5 or 1/2 of the crew has been diagnosed with coronavirus, and the other half is like being quarantined in Guam while they're running a skeleton crew. It's the situation. I haven't looked that much into it, other than the fact that in a news briefing today, where the Admiral of the Navy and several other military personnel were talking about the various different steps the U.S. military is taking to combat the coronavirus. And really, they're doing what they can. They can't shut down the military because it's completely negligent to do so. We're still engaged in several countries. We still have troops in several countries. We can't just pull them off the line and bring them home, only to send them right back out again as soon as things start getting better. We have several allies that require our presence militarily, like in South Korea. Our military, as well as our National Guard, are taking the forefront of this by aiding where they can. Ladies and gentlemen, asking a soldier to basically go home because there's a virus out there is about as ridiculous as telling a horse to go back to the stable because you are being told to ride to the market. You just can't do it. To demobilize our military to a point where it hasn't been since the American Revolution would be completely negligent on our part. Not only would this embolden enemies, like Iran, China, and other countries that scream death to America and want our blood on their cereal. Is not a good idea. Keeping the army active, keeping it mission ready is how we're going to keep this country safe. Let's just take this as what the governments are telling us it is. This is our real version of World War II here, people. We are facing a pandemic of epic proportions. Shutting down the military to alleviate the spread of this pandemic is not going to help anything. All it's going to do is make us weaker in the long run. I have no idea why my game has decided not to animate a lot of things. This is new. Oh, and there's the walls. I hit a literal wall there. But I can see where people are coming from, but I can also see where that can damage us in the long run. We're already dealing with a slowed economy that's been slowed to a crawl. We're already dealing with the repercussions of that. We're going to feel the repercussions of this for a very long time, regardless of what people are telling you. I wish I could say something different. I wish that our soldiers didn't have to put their lives in harm's way. But there's really no way shutting down the military is going to help anything. It's only going to make things worse. And although I don't like getting political on this channel at all, I could tell that this plan is being brought forth by liberals. Because the liberals have been known to not be as supportive of our military. And a shutdown of the military would help them immensely in their quest to throw egg in the face of Trump, because shutting down the military would lose a lot of Trump's support. His biggest supporters by far have been military veterans and military personnel. How many presidents can say that they were able to get the Navy to deploy ships anywhere, regardless of location, in under a few hours, a few days, maybe? Not since Reagan, people. That kind of mobilization is amazing. The fact that these servicemen care about our president, respect our president enough to expedite deployment of these hospital ships because he asked them to do it as soon as possible is just great. They certainly wouldn't have done it under Obama. They probably wouldn't have done it so much under Bush, and they wouldn't have done it under Bill Clinton. That shows how much respect they have for this man. And that shows how concerned they are for the fate of this country. And of course, we already knew that. They wouldn't be serving in uniform if they didn't care about this country. They wouldn't be serving in the armed forces at all, putting their own lives on the line if they didn't care about the people in this country. This is nothing new to them. They're used to disasters like this. I can't stress this enough. Shutting down the military is a completely ridiculous and foolish idea, regardless of who's presenting it, which I'm pretty sure it's the liberals. Also, making students who are already done the work and are still doing the work retake an entire semester simply because they missed out on a few months and probably not much at all going on in these schools anyway is completely ridiculous. This is just people trying to add a little extra fluff, saying that they took a stand during this coronavirus. They're trying to... It's become the new sports acumen now that there's no sports going on. And ladies and gentlemen, the number... Well, it's looking good that this virus could dissipate over the next couple of months, if not weeks. They're already trying to experiment with the blood of people who have... I know I'm not saying this right. They're already starting to take plasma from the people who survived coronavirus and are giving it to victims of who are still suffering coronavirus as a way to see what it can do, like most doctors would do. Key to Shellyak, a king's physician during the during the Dark Ages, during what is now called the bubonic plague or Black Death, himself was infected and he treated himself. He experimented on his own body to figure out how the virus worked. He was very revolutionary for his time, and he helped people understand what was going on. He may have not cured the virus, but he helped people better understand how it happened, because he himself was suffering from the virus. In lighter news, I read in an article that a 104-year-old military veteran from World War II survived the virus and was able to celebrate his birthday on the way out of the hospital. That's just amazing to me. A 104-year-old survived this virus. It's stories like this that give me hope for humanity. However, it's people taking advantage of the situation that make me lose it all over again. But I know for every one person that is hoarding toilet paper only to sell it for profit later, there's going to be like 10 people that will tip you just for delivering their sandwich. There's going to be 10 people who go door to door giving old people food. There's going to be like 20 doctors who are making great strides in this pandemic. For every person who is taking advantage of this situation, for every person who is trying to help, but their ideas would only do more harm, there's going to be somebody with a better idea. There's going to be somebody who is taking the initiative and doing what ROTC taught me to do. Take the initiative, run with it, hold your ground, and help your fellow man. Serve your community to the best of your ability. If you take any of my advice, besides the death claw thing, wow, that was shockingly easy. Please take that advice. Help your neighbor. Be there for them. Still maintain a respectable distance. Apparently it's 6 feet. But be there for them. If he's a good neighbor, then you'll feel good helping him. If he's a totally mean, nasty human being who you wouldn't have talked to otherwise, then don't help him. Offer your help, but if he slaps it away, no harm, no foul. These guys just don't know when to quit. The night belongs to the raider, I guess. I run into more raiders at night than I do anyone else. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this video is long, and I promise I'm ending it right now. But the only other advice I have to give is never letting a talking deathclaw decide the name for your restaurant or do your legal work. And also, the bloated Brahmin corpse is probably not the best name for a restaurant in post-apocalyptic America. I've been your host, Richard Garner, and I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully bright and early, another edition of Just Talking. Good night, and Godspeed. Okay, now I gotta turn this thing off. There we go. No, not that. Sorry. Please like, share, and subscribe.